So, well, hello and welcome to this is actually meant to be the Canadian Content Corner. So you're like the honorary Canadian today. And I love how we're wearing purple. I got my purple hair and you got your...
Hey, come on. And I brought Baby Yoda along. I mean, gotta have Baby Yoda.
Hey, welcome, Baby Yoda. All right.
Baby Yoda's a Rush fan too.
Oh, perfect. Of course he is. And I'm rolling away again. I don't know what's going on here. I'm not, you know what it is? I'm not heavy enough in this chair, I think.
Well, you're a rolling stone.
I am a rolling stone.
But do you gather moss?
Rock and roll. So how are you today anyway?
You know something? I'm a cancer survivor. 6.5 years. I'm happy to be walking around.
I know it.
Absolutely awesome. Beats the alternative.
Absolutely. Well, we're glad you're here as well. So, and how's the weather? You're in Boston, right?
It's lovely. It's very pleasant. It's a little bit cool, but hey, it's springtime. So,
exactly. Yeah, there's still going to be a bit of that
getting into the warm part of the season.
Yeah, there's going to be a bit of that nip in the air. It's about the same here. So I'm just glad it's sunny.
Where are you?
Guys. I'm in Toronto.
Oh, excellent. One of my favorite cities. I've been there many, many times.
Awesome. Well, it's where it is. It's where it all happened, right?
Absolutely. And it also happened in Cleveland, and it also happened in a whole bunch of states.
And this is why we're here, right? So, and you recently had a Valentine's birthday, so
I did. I turned 74, but still amazing. Young and cute.
You are adorable, beautiful, young at heart, the whole thing, young in mind, body, spirit. So it's all good. And sorry,
clean living.
That's. You got to do it, right? And also a recent wedding anniversary, right?
Indeed. All of these things. Yep.
And how many years?
My husband and I got married in 1987. Still together, still on speaking terms. Imagine my surprise.
That's important.
It is. Well, important to me.
Yeah, it's all good. That's amazing. And also there was a recent Passover. So a lot of things have happened.
And if I had my druthers, I would have invited Getty and his family to my Passover Seder. But you know what? I hear they do awesome Passover Seders. They love to cook and this and that. And why not?
Wonderful, wonderful.
This is the first year that a lot of us since the pandemic have been able to have our friends with us again. Mm-hmm. Not all of us, not a lot of us, but thank God some of us have been vaccinated.
Yes.
And as a result, limited groups have been able to just have visitors. And in my case, I'm the advocate for an adult with autism. And he was able to join us for Passover. Couldn't understand why he couldn't come over last year. I mean, it was so heartbreaking for him. And this year he just couldn't wait. It was exciting. So,
well, that's very sweet.
And I hope you had a nice holiday yourself. And I hope that everybody who's watching had a nice Easter, whatever you celebrate, good health, happiness, and lots of Rush tunes.
That's it. Gotta have the Rush tunes. Well, it's been a busy time, that's for sure. And with the whole, like you said, with the whole COVID situation, hopefully the vaccines are going to let us get back to some kind of normalcy. Here in Canada, it's sort of slow going with the vaccines, but I think we're starting to get more on track. But I guess
thank you are President Biden. I know that makes it political for some people, but no, it's nice to have somebody who's a manager, somebody who knows how to just move things forward and make
the thing
happen.
It's just the moving forward
politically. I'm all about getting results, and more people are getting vaccinated. So thank God for that.
Exactly. Okay, so I will do a bio with the interview, like a little written bio, and I might do a little speaking bio, but if you want to just give me a little bit of snippets of where you were born and how that was just growing up.
Yes, I was born, they tell me, but I don't remember. And then the dinosaurs came. And, I was born in Dorchester, Massachusetts, which is back then was a mainly Jewish neighborhood, about 3 miles from downtown Boston. I know you guys do meters and stuff, but you used to do miles back in the day. And in minutes, it's maybe 10, 15 minutes from downtown Boston. And when I was 8 years old, we moved to Roslindale. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, so what, Donna? We went from being residents of a mainly Jewish neighborhood to being the only Jews in the neighborhood at a time when anti-Semitism was still a thing.
Wow.
So there was that.
Yeah.
When people talk about the good old days, it just makes my head hurt. It's like, yeah, if you were in the dominant ideology, it was absolutely the good old days. But if you were in a minority culture, not so much. But I got through it. My main problem was not just being Jewish. Notice this was handmade.
Beautiful.
I have them in all different colors, shapes, and sizes.
Beautiful.
But not only was I a member of a religion that nobody else in my neighborhood was, but I was a feminist before that was really a thing. There's always been feminism.
Yes.
But the second wave of the feminist movement really kind of wasn't about to happen until the 60s, and I was growing up in the 50s. Yeah. And I wanted a career at a time that girls weren't supposed to want one. And I really, really wanted to be in radio. I knew that from the time I was a kid. I also knew I didn't want to marry unless I could have an egalitarian relationship. I didn't have the language for it. I just knew that if it weren't equal, it was kind of like I dreamed of marrying Superman, but only if I could be Superwoman, just kind of like that. So I was thinking in that way.
Yes.
I didn't like makeup. I didn't, all the stuff that girls were supposed to like. I liked baseball. I wasn't a girly girl. I certainly was a girl. I was very aware that I was a girl, but I was different.
Yes.
From a lot of the girls of my era. I don't know where I got it from. I guess that I just, because you were born this way.
That's right.
I don't know. But there I was. And I got mocked a lot and I got bullied a lot, but what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And in the end, I ended up being the first woman in the history of Northeastern University to be on the radio. And I was one of the few women every place I worked in broadcasting. And I'm also somebody who doesn't smoke, doesn't drink, doesn't do drugs. And I was raised in a culture where, like when I was growing up, that was the norm. But when I got into rock and roll radio, that wasn't the norm. It was like party hardy. Yeah. I got into it for the music, not for the lifestyle. And I got, I put up with a lot of crap about that as well. And what's interesting is that the members of Rush, who back then absolutely were into partying. They were kids. They were young. But they had the space for me to not do any of those things. It was fine with them. And it wasn't because, I was their mentor. I wasn't their mentor yet. I was just, a rock and roll DJ who played their music in Cleveland, Ohio. But as we became friends, they never had a problem with the fact that I didn't do any of those things. In fact, when I would be backstage, they always made sure there was juice for me. They always made sure there were salads and, cookies. They made me feel welcome. And they've always been like that. And I'm not saying that because they're my friends. Like I said, they weren't my friends at that point. This is just who they are. They are down to earth, decent human beings. And as time went on, they kind of diminished with the partying too, because they became family men. They had kids, they'd still like to do some weed, whatever. Yeah. Do it around me. And they always were committed to their craft. They always were committed to their work, and they always were committed to the fans. So I never saw them act in a way that made you go ew, I'm so embarrassed. That just wasn't who they were. So we never had a problem. And it was really wonderful to know that even in a rock and roll industry and even in a partying time, there were people who just were nice, down-to-earth human beings that you would like to hang out with, that you would like to talk, about books or politics or, cookies or family or whatever else, baseball. And that never changed. To this day, I am still in touch. To this day, what we talk about is rarely music. It's family and friends and, stuff that's going on in the world and things like that. And I'm very proud of the fact that what started off as me just doing doing what music directors do, trying to find a good song for my radio station.
Yeah.
That turned into a 4-decade plus friendship. I mean, how lucky am I?
It's truly amazing. And I just,
and along the way, you asked about my bio. Along the way, I was one of the only women who ran a media consulting business.
Yes.
I also went back to school when I was 55 and got my PhD when I was 64. I'm 74 now, still working full time by choice. I can't imagine retiring. I still write. I still freelance. I still, I do speaking engagements.
Yeah.
I do a ton of historical research and writing, et cetera, et cetera.
Well,
So
it's all
that answers your question, and I probably bored your viewers to tears.
And then some. No, it's all quite amazing. And just, getting back to your upbringing, I mean, I find that fascinating. And you're a bit of a rebel and maybe a bit of a tomboy, tom girl, if you will. And I can relate to that. And my daughter is very much the same way. So, and, just,
Also very Jewish identified. I mean, I still keep a kosher house.
Yes.
And, I'm not Orthodox, nor do I play one on TV, but, I'm much more somewhere between conservative and reform. But I'm very Jewish identified. I've never hidden that.
No,
and
why not?
I love, the reality is find your path. Do what works for you. Just don't put other people down for their path.
Exactly.
And there's some stuff that clearly I do not agree with in terms of what my friends believe, but they're not imposing theirs on me and I'm not imposing mine on them. Yeah. And that's how I've always, the guys in Rush were the same way. I mean, they all went through their atheist phase and that's fine. I mean, none of my business. The fact is that they all found their own path. Exactly. And we just never imposed it on each other. It was always coming from a place of, this is what works. And Neil used to talk about that. He was like he went through his Ayn Rand phase, and then he just moved on to the next thing. And there were some fans that were like, yeah, but you wrote this and that in the 1980s. And he was like, dude, the 80s, they're kind of gone.
Exactly.
And, what people believed back then, sometimes you assimilate new information and you move it along. And that's what I've always loved about the guys, too, is the fact that they were not just parodies of the past. They were not museum pieces to what we all did in the 70s. They were always trying to push the envelope. They were always trying to find new ways to communicate with the fans. And that was also true in their personal lives. They are readers. They are thinkers. They're people that are always trying to keep up with what's going on. Yes. And I respected that about them. It was never problematic for me, like it was for some people, that Neil changed some of his philosophy. So what? I mean, I've always been Jewish, but I've certainly gone through different phases and stages of what that means. And everybody, it's just like everyone's free to wear sunscreen. Everyone's free to find their path. And as long as you have peace, inner peace, and as long as what you are doing helps you to get to the next thing and enlivens your life, if it's wearing you down, then it's probably the wrong path. But if it enlivens you, if it empowers you, who am I to tell you what to think?
That's the thing. It's just about, just be you, right? You do you and I'll do me.
Absolutely. And that's the thing in Rush lyrics. You find that individuality. Yes. A lot of people are, well, they're against religion. No, what they're against is, his mind is not for rent to any god or government. Don't rent out your mind. Decide that, Donald Trump or Joe Biden or anybody else for that. Doug Ford back in the day, just whoever it is, don't decide that they know best. No, they don't. They don't. Trudeau, I don't care who it is. Someone you like, someone you hate, think for yourself. just because you like a politician or an ideology or a belief, that doesn't mean you still shouldn't apply critical thinking. That doesn't mean you still shouldn't apply ethics. Think for yourself. That's what Rush we're talking about.
Yes.
And I agree with it 100%.
I do too. Yeah.
You can think for yourself and still have a Passover Seder. I mean,
right.
Getty may not be religious, but he's never denied his Jewish heritage.
Exactly.
And he absolutely has been at Passover Seders. And when people are like, oh, but you're an atheist, dude. Nah, you're missing the point. It's not about, do you believe in God? It's about, where's your ethics? Where's your culture? And what makes you feel like you are a part of something?
Yes, I agree.
That makes sense.
Absolutely. No, it's spot on. I mean, like, as I was saying, just.
I don't want to be babbling endlessly here.
No, it's all good. I find it interesting, and I'm sure others will find it interesting as well, your insights and whatnot.
Or they'll be asleep in the corner, in which they'll have to, like, symbols. Let's wake them up.
I got some right here. I'll just crash on there. But, it is wonderful. And it is fairly well known how respectful the guys have always been with their fans and friends and, of course, family.
And to me.
And exactly. And that's the thing. And you're there so you can tell us straight. You can tell us straight that that's exactly how they are.
Always have. I can never remember them being disrespectful of who I am, nor have I been disrespectful of who they are. Exactly. And that's what's been so cool about it. And through them, I've met so many wonderful fans. Yeah. I've met family members of theirs. I'm still in touch with those folks. And the fact that you and I are having this brief conversation more than 4 decades after I first got Working Man on the radio.
Yeah.
If you had told me, and I've said this in other interviews and I'll say it again, if you had told me in 1974, in the spring of 1974, when I got that Canadian import from Bob Roper, and I'm still in touch with him too.
Are you?
If I had known back then, in 1974, that I would still, in April of 2021, still be part of that Rush community, or that there would even be a Rush community.
Yeah.
I would have been like, yeah, maybe.
Maybe, yeah.
So many times as a music director, I played songs, never heard from the band, nor did I expect to, never heard from their manager, nor did I expect to, never heard from their fans, nor did I expect to. So this has all been, just like a bonus for me. Yeah. Look at all the nice people I've met, including members of Rush's immediate family, but also members of the Rush family of fans, including you. And I feel very, very lucky in that regard.
Me too. It is a family. The fans are definitely an extension of their music, of themselves, and they even in some ways invited their own family into our world and vice versa. They're just
absolutely
very forthcoming. There's no scandals. There's nothing to hide. I mean, they were private, especially Neil, but they had nothing to hide. And they would share really
Neil was shy
through their music anyway.
People don't believe me when I tell them, and Neil was shy. He really was.
Yeah.
And he wasn't shy on stage, okay? But that was his preferred metaphor. That's how he spoke to the fans.
Exactly.
He spoke to the fans through his music and through his drumming, okay? His lyrics are his legacy.
Yes.
And the fact, and everyone knows it. But if you were to ask him to stick around for a meet and greet and schmooze, that was not what he felt comfortable with. Yeah. And I totally get that. I get that because I'm shy. You wouldn't believe it to look at me. I mean, I talk to, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people at speaking engagements. Yeah, but that's work. I'm working. I have a persona when I'm working. I have a performance when I'm working. Yes. It's not fake. I'm saying it's just like the way I've developed an ability to communicate in public. But if you invited me to that proverbial party, neither Neil nor I would be comfortable just schmoozing with people.
Yeah.
We're both like, and I'm not equating myself to Neil. I'm just saying I understand the mentality. We're both kind of like small groups of people, close friends. When Neil lived, he had close friends that he hung with. Mm-hmm. I'm still friendly with several of them. And he had known them for years. Yeah. But to be out in a large group just having a massive schmoozathon wasn't what he was comfortable with.
Yes, I can.
To this day, friends are still his friends. Yeah. And his legacy and his music and his memory lives on. And it feels so wrong that he's not here. And yet, he is here. And it is an honor for me to just not only be able to talk about him, but be able to talk to his parents, his best friend, some of the other people who were part of his extended family. And it goes on, and it will always go on. And I think that's a wonderful tribute to who he was.
I agree. I mean, he does absolutely live on in, well, people like you, and of course his family, fans, and the music, and his lyrics, and his books. He's got some wonderful books, so that will carry through. And there's all these families that are Rush families, as in like the mother, father, child, right? And I think
I've seen more and more of that. People used to tell me, like, "Oh, Rush fans are all dudes." That may have been true in the 1970s when the majority were, but on the other hand, there were always female Rush fans, said Donna, who is one. I'm talking even back then, Anna. Okay? Yes. I mean, even back in the 70s, I could always find a few female Rush fans, always. Absolutely. But as time went on, there were more of them and more of them. Yeah. And pretty soon people married, or they had partners, and their kids became apprenticed into being Rush fans. And then we had the second generation of Rush fans. Absolutely. And it still goes on today. And isn't it cool?
And it will continue to go on that way. I think it'll just keep perpetuating and echoing throughout the musical universe and whatnot, generation to generation. I mean, the music's excellent. It's timeless. I mean, some of it we can say, oh, it's a little bit dated, but overall, I would say their kind of music is timeless. To me,
but I think you can say that about any band. There's some of their songs that are just like, but there's others that, like 30 years from now, people that love rock and roll are still going to be like, wow, why don't they make songs like that anymore?
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. 100%. Well, thank you for all that wonderful insight there. And his best friend was Craig. Was it Craig?
Yes, I'm still in touch with Craig on a pretty regular basis. We talk about it once a week. One of the nicest human beings you could ever meet.
I can only imagine. And I don't know if you know how his daughter Olivia has been doing. The last thing I heard was she was driving.
I would be lying to you if I said I talked with his daughter on a regular basis. Yeah. I do not. I met her once. Yeah. I've met his wife. Yeah. But life has not brought us together very much. So I have been in touch by email with his parents on a few occasions. They are just the sweetest people. God bless them. Yeah. And, mostly the people that I keep in touch with are Getty's sister, and I keep in touch with Alex by email, and I keep in touch with Craig. It's just been such a blessing for me.
It must be. Yeah. I feel it through you. I feel the blessing coming through.
Amachaya.
And I feel blessed to have grown up in the era that I did, to even know who Rush is, and they've influenced me as well. So, and then I get to meet people like you. So
indeed. Yeah, well, I'm privileged that you wanted to. This is, I know it's going to sound like really sappy to people, oh my God, I'm honored, I'm privileged, but we feel that way. We feel that way.
Absolutely.
Now, I have to go because my boss is calling. However, I want to thank everyone who keeps the music alive and keeps the memory of Neil alive and keeps introducing Rush to new generations of fans. You're what matters. You're what makes it work. All they ever wanted was to communicate and to use their music to reach out to the fans. And the fact that you are still doing that and that you are still carrying that on, that makes me very happy, because it's what they wanted it's still a gift to us all.
Yeah.
And thank you for being part of that.
Oh, it's an honor and a privilege. I know here we're using the honor, blessing, privilege, but it really is to me.
But it's true. But this is how fans feel, whatever language you want to use. And it's not necessarily religious language. I'm saying we feel like we've been given a gift.
We have.
And I'm profoundly grateful. I don't mind saying it. I really don't.
Yep. Shout it out to the world.
People don't like the fact that I say that.
Have
a nice day.
Yeah,
Baby Yoda and I wish you the best.
Yes. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me and to share with whoever's going to be out there listening and watching.
If you want me to come back for more, I'd be happy to, but I got to go honor the people who pay me.
That's right. Any old time. I'll be here. So
let's talk some more soon. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Okay. Much love to you too. Bye. Cheers.